You're listening to Prosper in the Kingdom, the podcast where faith meets practical strategies to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Join hosts John Cleaver and Wendy Lee as they share insights to equip you in your journey toward abundance, spiritually, financially, and beyond. Just a reminder, every situation is unique. The content of this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as specific financial or medical advice.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Prosper in the Kingdom. I'm your host, John C. with the amazing Wendy Lee. Wendy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Good to be here.
All right, fantastic. I know everybody, unless you live in the north, I've got family and friends up north. They're still dealing with colds. Matter of fact, I talked to a buddy of mine in Indianapolis today, and he said they had flurries. Meanwhile, here in Chattanooga, it's 70 and sunny, and I'm just loving life. Baseball's happening, so that means spring is here, or at least nearby. So, I know, right? I mean, yeah, you've got one that plays baseball too. You guys are already playing baseball as well, right?
Yep, we are. Have a game. Yeah, lots of games in the last few days, and we don't stop until mid-July. So
I know, right? It's part of it, but a small price to pay. So anyway, well, Wendy and I, Prosper in the Kingdom, we're not here to talk about baseball, although we could for quite some time, but we're talking about just helping you get your financial house in order from a biblical perspective, coaching you on how to become healthy, wealthy, and wise through that practical stewardship and using real life strategies that literally anybody can use. But I want to ask you something honestly today, okay? And think about this if you're listening, right? Are you building wealth right now? Or are you just maintaining your lifestyle? Okay, just getting by, right? Just making it happen, but not really making some moves, right? Here's the reality of it. Most people aren't in financial crisis. They're doing fine, right? Everything's fine. Income steady, the bills are paid, retirement contributions are happening. And so everything feels good. And that word fine in reality can quietly cost you literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions, over your lifetime. Okay. And what do I mean by that? So today we're talking about something I like to refer to as opportunity slippage. Okay. And what that is, it slowly erodes your financial future if you're not intentional, if you're not being a good steward, right? And so we're going to talk through that using the 3M framework that Wendy and I have been sharing with you, right? And for those of you listening for the first time, that 3M framework: make, manage, and multiply. And I'm going to give you some simple, practical action steps that you can implement immediately, whether you're doing a DIY or want some guidance. Wendy and I are going to kind of walk you through what that really means, okay? So what is that opportunity slippage, and what's the real danger of what I call drift, right? Financial collapses, that rarely happens overnight. And I'm not talking just, countries and stuff like that, but I'm talking individuals and things like that. But, it usually happens through drifts, and countries do collapse, but we're talking about you, your family, your financial house, your financial structure, we're talking about that. But raises come and lifestyles adjust upward. I know, Wendy and I have done a lot of financial plans for people, and I know I've seen it in my own personal lifestyle. Wendy, I mean, you work in that network marketing world. I mean, is that a reality where that lifestyle adjusts upward when raises come in and more money is made?
Absolutely. Most people are spending the money before it even comes in the door.
Reality. So That's what we do, right? It's just like, hey, I'm going to reward myself. I'm making bank. And we have this mindset of, hey, it's always going to continue to come in, right? Mm-hmm. The bonuses hit the account and all of a sudden they disappear. And that's one of the things, if you want a reality check, and this isn't something that's new, folks. This isn't a 21st century thing. I want you to go back to Christmas vacation, right? And he had a bonus coming in. He was, some kind of food additive guy. He made some kind of shellac for cereal. If you recall, what was he going to buy with his bonus that was coming in? His year-end bonus? A swimming pool. And what did he actually get?
Ham?
No. A subscription to a jelly of the month.
Yeah, that's right.
Cousin Eddie said it's the gift that keeps on giving, which is, reality, but not what he wanted, right? And so you're right. I mean, we spend a lot of that before it's even made. And, if we do get it, it's already gone, right? A little here, a little there, nothing reckless, nothing dramatic. But here's the real problem, kind of flashing back to IRL, right? In real life. Every dollar that isn't intentionally deployed, and I'm talking every dollar, okay, not just, big bonuses and things like that, it's automatically consumed. Or, we joke around that, with budgeting, spending plans, if you don't tell the money what to do, it's going to do the one thing it does, which is run away from you, right? That rule of 72 we've talked about in the past, it teaches us how to invest and have that money doubling over time. But what people don't talk about is how missed investing compounds as well, right? So that missed opportunity, what it could have been $1, things like that. And that's in the form of lost opportunity. 10 years of drifting may not feel painful while you're going through it, right? But when you look back, it's like, oh, what did I miss? But in 20 years, it'll really feel. And I'm going to share a story with you. This is my personal experience. And I know I'm not the only one that's done this in the past, right? I think it was my first layoff, right? It just getting started. I had just gotten started in my 401k. And I think I had $15,000 in there at the time. I mean, I was young. I was still in my 20s. And, looking at that, it's like, well, we had some bills to pay off. And I'm like, oh, I'll start another 401k. So what did I do? Cashed out a 401k, right? The time I thought nothing of it, paid the little penalty, 10%, $1,200. I got all the time in the world, right? Well, you look at that, and what happened is that $12,000 I cashed out, well, that would have doubled like 5 times if I'd have left it in there. And so I want you to think about that, and you can do the math on that. I'm not going to spend the time on that, but you, the listener, you, the viewer, I want you to think about, okay, well, wait, if that doubled once, that was 15 to 30. Now it's 30 to 60. That's twice. 60 to 120. That's 3 times. 120 to 240. That's 4 times. It adds up. And so missed opportunity is the exact same thing, right? Drift is not diligence. Drift is a default. It's like, no decision is a decision, right? Taking no action in your financial strategy is taking action, if you get what I mean. So.
Yeah, I heard a guy say on a podcast yesterday, I call it the no plan plan. When you don't have a plan, it's
Bingo.
The no plan plan because it's still a plan. It's a plan to fail.
Bingo. Yeah, exactly. I love that, plan to fail. Yeah.
So, and so going back to the 3M wealth framework, right? It starts with make. So your income, it matters. It matters a lot. But income without assigning every dollar, like John was just mentioning, creates leaks. We call it leaks in your buckets, right? Your money buckets. And, over and over and over, we hear people say, when I make more money, I'll get started, right? When I make more money, as soon as this raise comes, I'll get my financial plan. As soon as, right? We're always waiting until more money comes. And here's the problem is more money keeps coming and the same actions take place, right? When you make more money and you don't have the structure in place and you don't have the vision in place. I'll tell you my personal experience, John, when you did my financial plan, I wasn't in a position to take big action at that moment, but it allowed me to see, oh, if I do this, this is what can happen. Yeah. So then it changes your whole perspective on your intention with your money when you understand what you can build. But most of us just stick our head in the sand and think one day it's just going to all be okay. Or, I heard somebody say the other day, I'm just waiting on my grandmother to pass away so I get my inheritance. And I'm like, that's not a retirement plan.
That's like the family lottery.
And what happens if grandma gets sick and uses her inheritance to take care of her before she passes away? Like, it's just, anyway. But that's what we see all the time. When we make more without structure, typically what happens? We just expand lifestyle. In our minds, how many of you are guilty of this? Drop me in the comments. If you know a raise is coming or a tax return is coming and you're like, I've waited forever to be able to add this to my monthly bills, or I've waited forever to be able to do XYZ, right? We have this list of financial things that we want to do, and we have that money spent before it comes in. So the big, action step here is identify, because increasing income does matter. So identify one income expansion opportunity within the next 90 days. Not 5 income producing or income expansion opportunities. We talk to people all the time. We go to networking groups with people that are like, I have 17 businesses, right? Have one way that you're going to expand your income. Maybe that's in negotiating your wages at work, right? Negotiating a pay raise. Maybe that's adding a skill-based side income. Maybe it's, restructuring your effort into higher value work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you're an online coach, you increase your rates a little bit. But here's the key. Before the money arrives, you've got to decide where it goes for your future, not where it goes to increase expenses, right?
Yeah.
If you don't assign it, it's going to disappear. It's going to be absorbed with your life. And so, but, again, this has to operate alongside manage and multiply as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the real big difference with us and some of the other radio hosts you'll hear. They're not planners, so I'm just going to call them radio hosts. They're all about the consecutive, right? Do one before you do two. And what we teach is really, make, manage, and multiply has to operate concurrently. Mm-hmm. And obviously you're going to shift more towards one, towards the other, but advantaging and leveraging that time, taking advantage and leveraging that time, right? And it goes into really that second M of the 3M framework, which is manage, right? Manage every dollar. We talked about that. Wendy just mentioned it. This is where the slippage really accelerates, right? That opportunity slippage we're talking about. And, it's people that don't make a lot of money notice it pretty quickly, right? But high earners, they don't struggle with income, right? And, what is a high earner? I don't know. It's all relative, right? Mm-hmm. But they struggle with it intentionally. And, here's what I mean by that. So let's take a look at your last 3 months of spending, right? Look at it without emotion, no, well, we needed that because of blah, or, that. Just look at it just strictly from a numbers perspective, which is frankly why I love what I do, and especially helping people, because I don't have all that emotional baggage that comes into it. I'm just looking at pure numbers, right? Where is the money flowing without purpose? And I've said this on previous episodes. Wendy said it. Ask yourself, is that purchase or whatever you're doing, is that moving you closer to or further away from your financial goals? Okay. Your real financial goals, not buy a boat. Okay. Where is that money flowing without purpose, right? Subscriptions, convenience spending, right? Lifestyle, and, let's DoorDash. DoorDash is, I've DoorDashed one time, and it was for a corporate event. It wasn't a personal thing. And it's just, that is a big money suck. I'm just going to tell you that right there. Don't hate DoorDashers. They're out there hustling, making it happen. People are going to pay them to do it. So, more
Let
power
the poor
to you.
people do that.
What? Say that
Let
again?
the poor people do that.
Exactly. Because that's a poor mindset, right? And I say that because I wanted you to say it again. I heard it the first time, but it's that convenience spending, right? Lifestyle and inflation that has crept in quietly. Oh, I'm doing this. I can afford this now. And plus, we kind of get lazy, right? We don't want to take the time to kind of plan it out. But here's the reality of it. When it's all said and done, you don't need to be extreme, right? You just need to be intentional. Okay. So when you kind of walk you through action step number 1, I'm going to walk you through action step number 2, which is give every single dollar that comes into your pocket a job, right? Mm-hmm. Everything has a job. Now, it may be buy you a latte, okay? And that's okay. That's why you have a spending plan, being intentional, being a good steward, which is biblical. So much is given, much is expected, right? And the more you're given, the more you're going to be trusted, as long as you're that good steward. But again, give every single dollar a job, not in theory, but on paper, because, when dollars are unassigned, again, they default to consumption. Yep. Oh man, I've got a bunch of extra money, left. We've got a few $100 or a few $1,000. Let's take that vacation or buy that thing, right? Get a new TV. But what happens is over decades, and that's really how you got to be looking at this. Okay. You're not going to build wealth overnight. Okay. No. Especially if you're starting from ground zero, like I did. Okay. But what you do is over decades, you have the plan that Wendy was talking about. You realize, okay, time is on my side. If I'm younger, We've talked to some older people that time is not on their side and they're in a panic mode right now,
Mhm.
right? But you got to realize that leakage, that opportunity slippage over decades, that default destroys compounding. Okay,
Mhm.
because and I always use the garden analogy. I love being outside. I love working in the earth. Right, it's relaxing. It's therapeutic to me. So imagine if you were trying to plant a garden. Most people, it's that time of year, right? Getting the garden ready, going to plant some seeds. And that way, in August, September, you're going to have a beautiful garden to harvest. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, if you eat the seeds rather than planting them, what's going to happen? You're going to have less of a garden. Also, if you get started late, you plant your garden in June rather than early May, guess what? You're going to have a smaller garden as well. So, all
Yeah.
these life applications, listen to that. So,
A lot of it's in the Bible too. Yeah,
just
I wanted
saying,
to
just
say
saying.
one more thing about the manage piece. I heard someone say the other day, and I thought this was a really good exercise, is taking your values. Like, what are your values? What do you
Yes.
actually care about? Like, what
Yes.
means something to you? Right? Is your value quality time with your family? Are your values being able to give to your, favorite charity or volunteer? What are the things that truly long term mean the most importance to you? And then look at your spending
Hmm.
and look at, each category, what you're spending where. And I'll give you an example from my life. Okay. I said that I wanted to make an impact for generations and
Hmm.
create memories for my family instead of things. And
Yeah.
what was most important to me was having the financial freedom to be able to have experiences with my family. But when I looked at my spending, you might recall this, John, when my personal um, what do we call that category? My personal, I don't know.
Personal stuff, personal
Yeah,
care, stuff like
my
that.
personal care budget was $550 a month for my hair, my lashes, my nails. Did any of that actually align with my values? No, not at all. And so guess who doesn't go pay lots of money for their hair, nails, lashes anymore? Right now, if I go get my pedicure with my daughter, that's different, right? Because it's quality time with my daughter. So I just thought that was a really good thing to think about when you're looking at managing your money. To John's point with DoorDash, is that in alignment with the values of what you want to build long term? Or is it, lack of planning?
No, that's
Anyway,
but
so
yeah, just to kind of piggyback on that, I mean, that's exactly right. And here's the reality of it, folks. And you may be thinking, oh my gosh, how does she look like that and spend only $500 a month? Because I'm pretty impressed. But it's one of those things that maybe a little biased, but it's one of those things that imagine what you could do, and you don't have to stop completely, right? And we've talked to others. I mean, we talked to a client that spends literally like almost 2 grand on personal care. But what could you do with that? Not only for your own wealth strategy, but just the little things like, sponsor a child or donate a little more to X, Y, or Z cause, right? To make an impact, not just make your income. And, does it really, I love that you said that, does it align with your values? And that's, especially as a Christian, I think we really need to look at that. I think so many times we just kind of just coast
yeah.
and, it's everybody's doing it, blah, blah, blah. I'm still a good guy. I'm still a good gal. I'm going to church, whatever. But really, are you aligning it with your values? And, do you really need to do it? I mean,
Yeah.
can you do something indifferent? And again, maybe not cut it out, but cut it back or whatever the case may be. But that's where that spending plan and really being intentional and treating that single dollar like it could do wonders because it can,
Mhm.
especially compound them, adding to it, adding
Mhm.
time, all these things, right? Adding growth, all these different things. So,
Right.
um, you know, but
And
yeah, so
yeah, and that's where, we get into that multiply piece, right? That's where we see when we meet with clients, most of the regret shows up
yeah,
because people are waiting
yeah.
too long to multiply. They may have followed what the radio host said and they were trying for 17 years to get out of debt and never invested, or they're just they think something's going to happen down the road. I know with network marketers, oh, one day this residual income will be so big, I don't have to worry about retirement. And then we sit down and we're doing a financial plan when people are 55 and 60 and 70 years old who have zero plan for retirement. And, you focus on earning and spending for 15 to 20 years, and then eventually you try and get serious about investing. And you're late to the game as far as compounding, because compounding is going to reward that early consistency more than late intensity. So you can invest a little bit for a long time, and you're not going to be able to make up in intensity what you could build over time.
Now, just to interject though, because I do want people, I don't want people that, okay, well, I didn't start when I'm 20 to feel completely defeated, right? Like, okay, well, I guess there's no point in me bothering to do it now. Sure. And it's the thing of, the saying better late than never, right? But if you can take advantage of, and this is something for you, 45 and up, teach your kids this stuff, teach your kids and talk about money. I know when I was growing up, we don't talk about who you voted for. We don't talk about religion. We don't talk about, how much money you make. That is total BS, because I can tell you right now, wealthy people talk about all of the above. You look at social media now, everybody's talking about who they voted for, who they don't want to vote for, right? So why can't we talk about money? Not that, hey, look at me, I have it. It's more of, hey, let me show you how to do it. And that's one of the big things. But I do want to stress that it is better late than never. But you're right. It's so much easier to get started when you're younger. Think of it like this. So I always give the analogy. I love analogies, right? So think of this visual picture, people. So I want you to hear me. So you look at the whole thing about building wealth, and it's not just retirement, right? It's wealth. You want to be able to access this stuff, liquidity, in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, not just your 70s and 80s, right? For different opportunities that come along. So you've got this ATM that we're going to put in your living room. Just visualize that, right? And one day you're going to turn it on and you want it to spit out money every month so you can enjoy life, right? Your retirement, whatever you want to call it, semi-retirement. And there's 3 levers on the back. Okay. The first lever is how long before you actually want to retire, and I'm using air quotes if you're listening on the podcast. So maybe it's 5 years. Ooh, that's tight, right? Again, think back to that garden analogy. It takes a little while. But maybe it's 40 years because you're just getting started, or maybe it's 30. So that's going to impact how much money. Okay. It's one of the 3 levers though. So the other lever is how much money do you want to have spitting out of this machine, this ATM, every month? Is it 4,000? Is it 5,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 15,000? Right? We talk to clients. I want 15 or 20,000 coming out. Okay, great. So that's the other lever that you said. And then the last lever is, okay, well, how much seed can you put in the ground? How much money can you put into the machine to watch it multiply over the next X number of years? And you adjust that lever. So the more time you have, the less money you need. I mean, we show clients that are in their mid-20s how they can start putting, $250, $300 a month away and be multiple 7 figures, definitely 7 figures, if not multiple, right? By the time they hit retirement, we talk about tax strategies and all that stuff. But again, it's all those levers. So, just to say you can still do it if you're starting a little later, but obviously the other levers are going to be impacted by it. So,
right. Exactly. So, look at what you can increase in your investing, right? How much can you put away? How can you increase that? If you're not doing anything yet, get a financial plan from us and we'll show you what to do. But action step number 3 is to increase, I'm going to say, your automated savings by 1% this quarter. And that savings, let it build up for you to figure out where to get your money to grow. But can you do just 1%? If you're doing nothing right now and you start putting aside 1%, you're not going to miss that, right? You would spend that just on accident. So, and then start increasing that. Look at it every month or every quarter and start increasing that. And that small discipline is going to compound massively over time.
Yes.
But that, again, this multiply has to operate concurrently with your make and manage. So don't wait till everything is perfect to start putting money away.
Yeah. That's the big lie that just frustrates the heck out of me. I'm not gonna lie about it. So, kind of looking at, okay, hey, we're giving you some action items, the DIY to structure, right? How you just kind of floating through life, and then let's actually kind of dive in and figure this out. So you can absolutely implement these steps on your own. It takes a little different, discipline. It takes some creativity, right? We're looking to increase margin. How do you do that? Well, there's two things you can do to increase margin. Well, I guess three. One is, obviously increase your income, find a side hustle, start an Etsy store, whatever. Okay, join an affiliate program. And then the second one is, okay, well, I can also, or instead of, reduce debt. Okay, that's going to cut into your outgo every month, right? So I've increased my margin. And the third thing, most people don't think about this, and I'm just going to put that out there, is look to reduce your taxes. Okay, well, how do I reduce my taxes? There's two things guarantee life, your death and taxes, right? Well, you can control your taxes if you get creative, right? And I'm not talking about fudging your taxes. That is not what I'm talking about here, right? This is a Christian channel. We're supposed to be living a biblical example, render to Caesar what is Caesar's, right? But there are ways you can legally control your taxes. And what do I mean by that? Again, starting that side hustle, right? Taking advantage of some of those tax codes. We teach that in our planning process as well. But, you got to tighten the management. That's the reality of it. You've got to tighten. You've got to really lock down. I mean, you've got 20, 30, 35 years in front of you, maybe less than that, 10, 15, right? If you're in the red zone of retirement age to make that money, how are you going to manage it, right? And start multiplying early if you've got that opportunity, right? But here's what I've seen over and over and over again, right? Most people don't fail because they lack information. I mean, we've got over 200 different videos on how to grow your personal piggy bank, if you will, out on YouTube. If you don't know what we're talking about, go check it out. We've got a bunch of, audio files or podcasts, sorry, grandpa here, podcasts on, how to manage and multiply and make more money, right? So the information's there, but you've got to read it. You've got to absorb it, and you've also got to implement it, right? But again, most people don't fail because they lack information. They fail because they lack that structure that we're talking about. Okay. They don't see the blind spots, right? Oh, I got it under control. I'm talking to Bob at the water cooler, right? There's a funny story about that. I'll share sometime. My first 401k, it wasn't Bob, it was Bill. And we're still friends today. I'm like, what are you doing, Bill? That's how I started putting money in my 401k. And they don't stress test things, right? We talked about that in our last episode about, going through divorce or job layoff, things like that. We just assume everything's going to be fine. And all of a sudden that curveball hits, which it will. It's not a matter of if, it's when, right? And multiples will happen. But they don't stress test it. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, panic, the sky's falling. Reality is they don't know what they don't know. Okay. That's why we, PITK, Wendy, John, and our team, right? We've got people all over the United States helping families out just like you. If you need help, let us know. But that's why we built that Safe Money Roadmap. Okay. It's not about a product pitch. Okay. It's clarity. I want you to understand it's clarity. Where are you at? It's not a one size fit all that, we talk about on the radio. Oh yeah, just do this. Everybody's doing it. You should do it too. Because 9 times out of 10, stuff like that doesn't work. It works for the basic stuff, the 101 stuff, the beginner stuff. But when you really start talking about building wealth, you need a plan that's specific to you, not just, well, I read Google, this is what it said. But that Save Money Roadmap, it shows you where you are at across that 3M framework, right? Where are you making? Where's some opportunity, right? What are you managing or not, right? What's some opportunity? How are you multiplying, right? And again, it's not just how much money you multiply, it's how much of that you actually get to keep. What am I talking about there? Taxes, okay? So you look at all that and we find where that opportunity slippage may already be happening. And we bring a non-emotional set of eyes to you. And it's not to judge or anything like that. That's not what we do, folks. It's about helping you level up, right? And achieving those financial goals that you want for you, your families, and things like that. And also showing you how to teach your kids this stuff. So guess what? They don't have to go through the same rigmarole that you did growing up, right? So, kind of in closing on this, we went a little bit long today, but, if this episode hit home for you, okay, do us a favor, give us some love, right? Take a second real quick. Give us a 5-star review if you're on the podcast, right? Share with some friends, family, or maybe that sister who always tries to borrow money from you, and show that love. Subscribe if you're not already subscribing, right? But ask yourself this question as well. Are you intentional with the money that you make and your financial wealth strategy, or are you just drifting? And yeah, I'm doing good. It's good enough, right? doing fine today, like we said, right, can quietly become your regrets tomorrow. And here's the reality of it, folks. When you hit 60, 65, 70, you don't get a do-over. There's no going back and trying to figure it out, right? You're there. And it's kind of like, okay, well, this is my new reality. And all those hopes and dreams that you just assumed would work itself out, be intentional about it. Don't be afraid of it. I know a lot of people are afraid to look at their finances. That's why we approach it from an educational standpoint. We're just trying to show you how to make those money moves on your budget. We're going to meet you where you're at. But doing fine today, again, can quietly become that you regret tomorrow. And you can implement those steps that we talked about today, right now. Okay, you don't even need to talk to us, right? Identify one income move. Where's some way that you can make some moves, right? And really look to increase that margin. Audit 3 months of your spending. Look at your credit card statements. Look at your bank statement on your debit card. Nobody's carrying cash anymore, right? So you've got an easy way to look at what's going on and increase investing by just 1%, $50, right? Just 50, $100. I mean, come on. You know you're spending it somewhere and just kind of fluff, right? Look at your streaming channels or your subscription. That's the first place I started. But if you do want some structure and clarity around it, looking at a full financial picture, a full roadmap, get your safe money roadmap. Do something with it or not, but at least get the roadmap. And just simple, I'll put the URL in the show notes, but it's safemoneyroadmap.com. So it's fairly easy to find, right? But reminder, that drift is going to compound you. And if you keep doing what you were doing yesterday, it's not going to get any better. But here's the reality. Discipline also compounds. And that can start working in your favor. Again, make, manage, multiply. Just having that structure is going to dramatically change your outcome. So, Wendy, any final thing to add?
Nope, you covered it. All good. Let's get
awesome.
Financial plans in place.
That Wendy Lee thumbs up, that sign of approval. That's awesome. So everybody, if you got some value out of this, and again, we went a little long today, but that's okay. It's hopefully helping some people out there. We would love to hear from you. Make a comment. Give us, like I said, that like, that heart, that thumbs up. And if you've got a topic you'd like to hear about, we would love to do a show for you. So, put it in the show notes or reach out to us. Make sure you're following us on Instagram as well. We put a lot of, show clips and things like that out there that are very helpful. Follow us on Instagram. We also write articles and stuff. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're a professional on LinkedIn, look for us there too. So everybody make it a great week. Wendy Lee and I are going to sign off, and we will see you next week on another Prosper in the Kingdom. Make it a great day, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Prosper in the Kingdom. If this episode added value to your day, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use the encouragement. For more resources, head to prosperinthekingdom.com. Let's continue building lives of purpose and abundance, one step at a time.